The domain of a function is all possible input or x values, and the range of a function are all the values that are possible for its output or its y. Let's take a look at a simple example. Let's say we have a linear function that goes on like this in both directions. Now, if we want to see what were the possible values of x that this function will ever be valid for, this function is going to continue on to infinity in the positive x direction and to infinity in the negative x direction. So its domain, or its possible x values, are all real numbers. There are no constrictions on its domain. Its range also, as x keeps getting positive and positive and positive, it's going to grow up and up in the positive y direction, and as x keeps getting more and more negative, it will decrease negatively until infinity in the y direction. So its range is also all real numbers. Sometimes you might have a function in which there are restrictions on the domain or the x values or the y values of that function. Let's look at an example. This function over here, if we want to see what are the possible x values of this function, well, it starts at 1 and it looks like it's going to go on forever in the positive x direction, but there are absolutely no x values in this function that will be valid for any number that is less than 1. So the domain of this function are all real numbers for x is greater than or equal to 1. So the domain goes from x equals 1 to infinity. The range, on the other hand, you can see this is always going to be in the positive y-axis. There are no values of this function that will occur when y is negative. So the range is all real numbers in which y is greater than or equal to 0.